Okay, boxing fans, right now we're going to talk about the big fight, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. This is happening this weekend. We're happy about it. It's a good fight. The only problem is it's come 6 years too late, and we'll get into that, well, straight away, really. Rory, I'm going to bring you out first. Is the fact that this fight is 6 years past its sell-by date just not really adding to the hype? Do you think it could be bigger? This would be a bigger fight if it was, a few years ago.
Um, I think the fact that it's taken so long adds something to it, as well as taking something away from it. If there was no sort of like disruption in terms of negotiations and back and forth, all of that has helped add to build up a fight. If there was no issues and it was a case of Floyd and Manny had a fight, they were both at the top of the game, and there was no issues whatsoever in terms of making this fight happen, then I don't think it probably would be as big. I know that sounds a bit crazy. It probably would be a better fight, but in terms of an event, the fact that it's taken as long, although it kind of pisses us all off, has helped add to build to this fight.
Yeah,
I think what's probably taken away from it, is how rushed the negotiations was, considering it's been 6 years. How rushed it was to get finalised, between it being finalised and it now being fight time. I think probably whether we touch upon it later, I don't know, but there's no 24/7, there's no all access. For the magnitude it is, a lot of people say, oh well, a fight like this doesn't need to be built up. They don't need to sell it, but I think they still do. And the fact that they've not had like a press tour and 24/7 style documentaries probably has hurt it a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose that's right. Paul, what are your thoughts on this fight? Do you think that it is still the biggest fight in boxing? Do you think it could have been bigger?
It's the biggest fight in boxing still, absolutely no doubt. But yeah, it should have happened 5, 6 years ago. It would have been probably the biggest fight in history, or certainly one of them, if it had happened 5 or 6 years ago. Whereas now, it's still a massive fight. It's not going to go down as something like Ali Frazier or anything like that. It's going to go down more like Lewis Tyson, where it didn't happen at the right time. It happened when both guys were near the end and just wanted the money, and fans were still happy to see it, but fans were still left thinking, what if? So, and yeah, I think Rory nailed it when he says the reason that a lot of people are feeling I wouldn't say people are still excited. I'm still excited for it, but people are not feeling it as much as they probably should have done. Maybe they're feeling a little bit deflated because they're at the point now where they just want the fight to happen so people can stop talking about it. Whereas people look forward to fights because they actually want to see the fight itself, the two guys square off. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this fight just so it can happen and then people can get over it. And then we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, maybe. So both fighters are well past their prime, you would say. Who is nearer to their prime? What would you say, Paddock?
Floyd. I hate to sound like a Flomo, but he's not lost. Yes, he's deteriorated a little bit with age, and you could probably pinpoint the first Maidana fight and say that's probably the worst he's looked in either ever or a very, very long time. And if that was his last fight, then you'd probably go, yep, he's starting to really drastically decline. But I thought he probably beat Maidana relatively convincingly in his second fight. And it was like, yeah, same old Floyd. Manny, again, there's visible sort of like wear and tear. But in his last sort of 5 or 6 fights, he's lost a couple of times. Albeit he was beating one Manuel Marquez. That was a vicious knockout. And, the fact that he wasn't able to put Algeria away, I think he's the kind of fighter that the Manny Pacquiao of, say, 5 years ago wouldn't have let go past 5, 6 rounds. So for that alone, I'd probably go with Floyd. Not drastically different, but relatively noticeably different in terms of wear and tear and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what would you say, Paul? Which one is closer to their prime?
I'm not sure, to be honest, because they've both had mixed performances recently. They both look good and bad. Mayweather, I think, in both Maidana fights, to be honest, the first and the second, he didn't look any good at all, really. He looked very slow. He looked like his legs had definitely lost a step. And he, for the first time in a long time, looked beatable.
Yeah.
I mean, for maybe the first time ever. Whereas only a year before that, when he fought Canelo Alvarez, which wasn't that long ago. When did he fight Alvarez? Was it September 2013? Yeah, it's less than 18 months ago. It was probably one of his best ever performances.
Yeah.
So in 18 months, he's had one fantastic performance and two not very good performances. Whereas it's the same with Pacquiao for me. The fight with Brandon Rios he looked okay in that fight. He looked like Manny Pacquiao again. Rios wasn't anything great though, didn't really test him. Then he fought Tim Bradley in the rematch, and I thought he looked very good against Tim Bradley, better than he did in the first Tim Bradley fight. And we were beginning to think maybe, whatever it is, maybe it's getting rid of Alex Ariza, maybe it's doing the old style training with Freddie Roach, maybe it's the fact that he's been knocked out, it's made him hungry again, or whatever. Pacquiao was starting to look like a pound for pound, one of the pound for pound best again. Whereas before that, he'd had a couple of lack of performances. And then, as we've mentioned, there's the Algieri fight, whereas, again, Algieri is not a world-level fighter, in my opinion. Should never have been in the ring with someone like Pacquiao. And he absolutely battered him, did everything but stop him. But there's not much you can read into that, because any fighter of Pacquiao's caliber should be battering guys of Algieri's level. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I agree with what you say. Neither guy's past the prime. But I don't know how close to being shot, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how close each guys are, because they've both been very, very mixed in their recent performances.
Yeah, it's true. They both have mixed form, don't they? That's what makes it most interesting. Do you look at the victories Mayweather has had? I mean, all of his have been victories. You can't deny that. But some of them have been less impressive than others, and some have been really impressive. So do you look at that and see the decline, or do you look at Pacquiao win some, lose some, but he's fought fighters that have tested him the most, I would say. I mean, Tim Bradley is probably his best opponent recently. Then Marquez always is in a good fight with him. But then, Rios and Algieri are not the greatest of opponents, to be honest, and you shouldn't really rate them as that good. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Other than that, we can move into the next phase of our discussion. This is where it heats up and gets a bit interesting. So, Rory, what are your thoughts on the guys, Angel Heredia and Alex Ariza, being in the Floyd camp? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think it's just mind games? Or do you think that, they're actually having an active role doing some naughty shit?
You don't bring someone into a camp for no reason. You see the phrase, especially around the Mayweather gym. It could be said, though, that you look at that Mayweather gym, and there's a lot of guys that just stand around and do nothing in the sort of the money team Mayweather entourage.
Mm-hmm. We're going to come back to you in a minute,
Floyd and his
Rory.
advisors.
We'll come back to you in a minute, because your thing's a bit dicky. So, Paul, do you want to give us your idea on that
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Yeah, it's just
okay.
The pad.
Well, I'll talk while Rory gets his connection sorted.
Yeah.
I think Heredia, whatever he's called. I think he's actively involved in helping Floyd train and prepare himself. Mm-hmm. Whereas I do believe Alex Ariza has just been brought in to mess with Pacquiao's head a little bit. We know that Pacquiao likes Alex Ariza. He was in his team, his intimate team, like he was in his corner for quite a lot of fights. He was deeply involved in getting him in shape, and Pacquiao didn't want him fired. He's on record as saying that. He said, I trust Freddie, I let Freddie make those decisions, but I personally would have liked to have seen Alex Ariza stay. Mayweather knows that. He knows that Alex Ariza being in his corner is going to fuck with Manny's head, and he's not going to like it, and he's going to be worrying, thinking, is Alex telling Floyd my secrets, stuff like that. And it's also, they know Freddie Roach very infamously doesn't like Alex Ariza. I think they brought him in as well just to wind Freddie up a little bit. It's all mind games with Alex Ariza, definitely. Alex Ariza, he's obviously good at what he does, but I don't believe he's working with Mayweather for this camp because I don't think Mayweather really needs him. He's got everyone he needs already. Whereas the other guy, Heredia, I think he's definitely working with him because that's been kept quiet. You know, they haven't wheeled him out like they have, saying, oh, look who I'm working with, look who I'm working with. Because Mayweather's been in the media recently saying stuff like, oh, Alex Ariza's the reason behind Manny Pacquiao's success. Ever since he's left Alex Ariza, he's gone down in his performances. He's definitely putting Alex Ariza's name in the headlines, isn't he? To draw attention to him. Whereas he's not really done that with the other guy. He's just kept... the fact that he's now in his camp, he's kind of done his best to keep that quiet. And rightly so, because I think it's a disgrace, personally.
Yeah.
Because the guy is known for being a PED pusher, and the number one pound for pound best fighter in the world should not be working with a known PED pusher.
That's right. I just want to emphasise that point. If I was a top athlete in any kind of sport, football, sprinting or whatever, athletics, and I was one of these guys who was a massive role model, but not only that, I was a worldwide icon. I would not want with me that kind of person who's going to bring my name into disrepute. I wouldn't want it because people are already going to be saying stuff about you, because people are dickheads. They're like, he could be on it, he could be on it. But while you're bringing in a guy who is known to have given athletes certain things, you're only asking for trouble. You're bringing it upon yourself at that point. And I wouldn't do it. And if he's done it for mind games, like people have said, oh, he's just done it for mind games. Well, he's stupid because it's only going to hurt his own reputation in the long run. And then, or he's doing it, he's doing it all over the place, and that's what it is. There could be just hiding in plain sight. I've hired him for that specific reason. Who knows? Or maybe he's just a fool and brought him in to think he can do something new. But I just want to tackle one point. Some people have said, oh, he needs a strength and conditioning trainer. He's never had one. Bullshit, as Floyd Mayweather got to this stage in his career, over 20 years, let's say, without a strength and conditioning coach. Just say that in your own mind before you bring it out, because that is the most pathetic and stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. Go on, what was you saying?
It's nothing important, really. I was just saying, with bringing in these guys, Heredia and Alex Ariza, both of people suspect the both of them of being PED pushers. They've got bad reputations in the sport. Floyd Mayweather himself, this is how ironic it is, he's the one who started the whole Alex Ariza is a PED pusher in the first place. So that's how much of an idiot Floyd looks. The guy who he accused in the media of giving Pacquiao drugs, he now has in his own camp, and he's now singing his praises in every interview. So Mayweather, whether he is using them to really help him with his training, whether he's just got them there to play with people and mess with Pacquiao's head, regardless what they are, all he's done for me is damage his own brand, damage his own legacy.
Exactly.
He's cast suspicion on himself unnecessarily, and to be honest, I think it's been Floyd Mayweather's not stupid. He obviously isn't a multi-millionaire if he's stupid, but he's made a massive mistake and a very bad judgment by bringing these guys in, even if they're not really doing anything really. He shouldn't be associating with them at all, especially not Heredia.
Yeah, that's right. Rory, are you back with us? Do you want to buy
I'm here.
Okay.
It's three really quick points on the whole topic. One, Floyd has gone 47-0 and has never needed Heredia in his camp. Why he does all of a sudden now, there's a question mark. Secondly, which Paul just touched upon, Floyd has actively and openly degraded Alex Ariza and insinuated X, Y, and Z when he was part of the Pacquiao camp years ago. And thirdly, Floyd is very open and likes to put out there how he's a stand-up guy, as it were, when it comes to cheating and wanting to clean up the sport. How he is a champion of the cause of cleaning up boxing and ensuring that there's no PEDs, etc. So with those 3 points, if he's as true to his word and he does actively want to clean up the sport, then he wouldn't let Heredia anywhere near his gym. He'd slap him, get him to fuck off, and say, no, I don't want any, even if you're not going to do anything here, I don't want you or anyone like you within 20 foot of my gym. Right, disappear.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Secondly, like I said before, 47-0 without him. Why all of a sudden is he now open to Heredia in the gym? It's certainly very suspicious and no smoke without fire. And secondly, he comes across now like Paul said, he just comes across now as a massive walking hypocrite, whereby even if Floyd was to absolutely outclass Manny Pacquiao, and heavens forbid he knocked him out, then as soon as Pacquiao's head hit the canvas, clearly Floyd's been on something, brigade will come out, and it's just going to be the continuous sort of dross and shit between both separate fans that we've had before the fight would happen again. And he's just basically given Pacquiao fans a reason and other people to doubt him, even if he was to absolutely dominate. And that's a shame for him as well, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So we'll move on. Anyone else have any questions that you want to throw in here before we go into the prediction?
Hard one.
Okay.
I can't think that. Do you think the winner will retire, or do you think the winner will carry on?
I actually don't. The thing what it is, I think this will be such a close fight. I think that some people will go at the end of this fight. People are going home upset, as in one set of fans will go home upset. The other one will go home and say, and they'll say that it was close, controversial, and they'll do it again. This time it'll be bigger. And, they're going to put more effort into, really selling it for the next fight as well. Or if that doesn't happen, I can maybe see Floyd fighting Danny Garcia and Matisse fighting Pacquiao. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you want to start off with us, Paul, and then we'll go to Raw Dog?
No, I agree. I can see a rematch happening, to be honest. I won't give away my prediction before we get to that point of the talk, but I think there's definitely going to be. I definitely don't think either guy is going to win this fight so convincingly that a rematch is just a complete non-sell. I don't see that at all.
No.
Personally, I think Pacquiao only fights on if it's a rematch. Any other option, then he's out of the game. He's retired. He's going to go and be the congressman that he kind of keeps being and then not being and all that jazz. I can certainly see Floyd fighting on. I think especially if Floyd wins, he'll look to, go for the 50-0 of Marciano. However, I would probably say if, and it's a big if Floyd was to win convincingly, that there certainly wouldn't be a rematch, and he would then just cherry pick a couple of opponents. Definitely, like you mentioned, Garcia, and I don't know, maybe even Cotto, if he's still middleweight champ, just to add an extra string on his bow and say that he's a middleweight champ as well. It's going to be sort of cherries on top of the cake.
Yeah.
Kind of fights rather than another mega fight, as it were, like Pacquiao. One question I wanted to kind of throw at you is, do you think Kenny Bayless is going to be in the money team pocket this fight, or
Or will he actually be? It's a good question. I don't know. My big worry about Kenny is in the last fight with Maidana. What he said was, and this is following Maidana biting Floyd on the hand. He said, "I don't know what you've just done, but don't do it again." Now, if that was in any other sport, you'd headbutt the referee, get sent off, and just be like, "I can't believe it." Because what he's basically saying, I'm just joking. Obviously, you wouldn't headbutt the referee, right? But the point being, he's just saying, "I didn't see what you've done, but I'm going to penalise you for it anyway and tell you not to do it again." If, say, in football, if they didn't see the guy go down in the penalty area, they don't give a penalty just because, it's the big team. Or, well, they do if it's Chelsea, but not if it's many other teams. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. It's
He
like
did. He
yeah.
did seem to favour Floyd. I understand that. But what do you guys think?
Me, I'll give Kenny the benefit of the doubt going to this one. If he does fuck it up and he does make a complete mess of this fight, like we've seen several referees do in Mayweather fights before, Mr.
Yeah.
Joe Cortez infamously messing up a Hatton fight. I'll give Kenny Bayless has got a pretty good reputation in boxing. He's mostly very fair. He doesn't make many mistakes, and he makes quite a lot of really good calls. Okay, he had a bad fight in the Maidana Mayweather fight last time, but his good performances far outweigh the bad performances. It's not like he's getting to Howard Foster or Ian John Lewis levels of just absolute shitness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll give Kenny the benefit of the doubt going into this. If he does fuck it up, then I'll go in hard on him like everyone else. But I'm not going to condemn him before he's done anything. I'd rather have Kenny than have Tony Weeks do it, because he was apparently the other option for this.
Yeah, Weeks,
Kenny.
yeah. Good old Weeks.
See, I hate coming across as like the eternal sort of like pessimist, but I've got a feeling that he'll be quick because of the magnitude of the fight. He'll want to be on his A game, and that will probably, unfortunately, lead him to not letting the fight flow. I think he will worry about not picking things up, so therefore will be overly cautious, and to an extent, a bit Joe Cortez-esque, if we kind of think. Hatton, I think it'll be really, really stop-start, and it's not going to be a fight that flows because he's going to be so worried about making a mistake. I don't think he'll be in anyone's pocket sort of thing. I'll give him that much credit. But I think he'll be so worried about him doing the wrong thing or missing something, or that he'll be breaking them a lot when they probably don't need to be. He'll be pulling them apart a lot when they don't need to be, rather than letting them work.
Yeah.
And that's going to benefit Floyd. Let's be honest, it will do. And I could see it being like that. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong, but I've just got a bad niggling feeling that that might be the case.
Hopefully not, but we'll see. Anyone else got anything they want to throw in before we go into predictions?
No, let's get into it, man.
No, I'm good, man.
We'll do
let's finally get it off our chest.
We need to finish this. We need to put it to bed, don't we? So, Rory, give us your prediction.
A little bit controversial, but I think Floyd Mayweather KOs him in the final bit of the fight. I think it's going to be quite a boring fight for the first sort of 6-7 rounds, and because there'll be tight, close rounds. I think it'll be a point whereby Freddie turns to Manny and goes, right, you probably need to go out and knock him out now, because you're not going to perhaps win this on points, especially in Vegas. Manny will go in, be a bit reckless, and if Heredia's magic potions are working with Floyd, and Manny gets reckless and leaves himself open, I could see Floyd knocking him out. I really hope that's not the case, but that's just my heart, and unfortunately my head says otherwise.
Yeah. So, Paul, what is your final prediction for Mayweather vs Pacquiao? Unless it's a rematch.
As I said, a rematch at all wouldn't surprise me one bit, but I guess you can't predict a draw for a fight like this. We're going to have to say one of them's going to win or lose, so I'm going to go for the fight just being a standard Mayweather fight, in the sense that he will win the fight. He'll win it fairly comfortably. I think the first 5 or 6 rounds will be very, very cagey and very, very even.
Yeah.
And it'll be, you can score the rounds basically on who you want to score them to. It'll be, I liked Pacquiao's work rate and his aggression, or I liked Floyd's, back foot boxing and his shoulder roll and stuff like that. But I think, like in most Mayweather fights, after about round 6, he'll step on the gas. He'll have collected his data, because that's what we all say about him, isn't it? He collects information. He has a look at his opponent for a bit, works them out, decides how best to beat them, and then he goes and does it in the second half of the fight.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to figure out what Manny's doing. He's going to think, okay, Manny's just going to try and outland me. He's going to try and just throw shots for every second of the fight. I can get round this. And I think Mayweather will pick him off, land his shots, do his shoulder roll, and he'll win the fight on the scorecards. I think the cards will be a little closer than they should be, because that just tends to be the trend now in Mayweather fights, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's got some, to be fair to him, he's got some shocking scorecards recently. I think it'll be a 117, 111 fight, really, but I think they'll score it close, like a 115, 113, maybe even a 114, 114 card. And as I've said, if they do end up giving this a draw so they can do the rematch, that wouldn't surprise me one bit, but I'm going to hopefully common sense will prevail and they'll get the scorecards right. And if the scorecards are right, Mayweather wins a comfortable decision.
Yeah. Possible, definitely possible. I'm going to go for Floyd Mayweather winning a split decision. I just think it's going to be one of them fights where it's like Paul said, it's one guy's clean work versus another guy's work rate. And at the end, it's like this. Evander Holyfield said that this fight's going to be bullshit. It's going to be decided on politics. And I thought it was funny that he said that, because he's had that kind of result going for him anyway, as in the draw he had with Lennox Lewis when he got battered. So I think it could be similar to that, but I think they won't give a draw. They've got to give it to Floyd, haven't they? They just got to. Pacquiao will have to win it, basically. I think he'll have to win at least 8 rounds to 4 to get a victory. I think Floyd will get a 8 to 4 victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a split. And if it's a split, they're going to do it again. And you know what that means? More money. You know what I mean? Because then they'll say Pacquiao's going to come back better than ever. He knows how to beat him now. And and then they'll do it again, and we'll have to do another prediction on it. It just won't go away. It's like thrush, this fight. So we'll definitely go and see. Does anyone want to end on anything?
It's like Paul Smith. It just keeps happening. It won't go away.
It just keeps getting shots. Keeps getting shots.
Yes, that's the perfect way to word it.
It's like Paul Smith. Just keep getting shots. See you later.